Am That, written by Nisargadatta Maharaj, summarized by detailed book summaries. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Chapter 1. Let's begin with a question that sounds simple but shakes the foundations of everything you believe. Who are you? Not your name, not your profession, not your story, just you without the labels. Strip away the roles, the memories, the aspirations. What remains? Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj invites us to stand at the edge of this question and listen. Not with the mind, but with the stillness behind it. He says that what remains when everything else falls away is the one truth that never changes. The sense of being. Just the undeniable feeling of I am. Not I am this or I am that, but simply, I am. From the very first moment, Maharaj turns everything we assume about ourselves inside out. You are not the body, he says. You are not the mind. You are the awareness in which body and mind arise. The body is seen, the thoughts are known, but who is the seer? Who is the knower? That's where he points us. There is something in you that has never changed. Not since childhood, not during joy or grief, not even in sleep. It's always present, always watching. That presence, that sense of being is the doorway. And it's already open. Now, he doesn't say this to be poetic or philosophical. He's being as direct as a flashlight in a dark room. Look carefully. Before any thought appears, before even the thought I am, there's the silent sense of existence. Stay there, he urges. Rest there. Abide in that feeling before you become anything else. The mistake we all make is rushing to define ourselves. I am a man. I am tired. I am spiritual. I am not enough. These are stories layered on top of a pure wordless sense of being. Maharaj calls this pure feeling the I am, and he tells us that it is sacred. It is not a thought. It is not a concept. It is the seed of your existence. And if you trace it carefully, reverently, you will go beyond it, to the source itself. So the practice begins, not with effort or achievement, but with a kind of subtle attentiveness. Can you feel the sense of I am in your chest, in your breath, in your presence right now? Just that sense of being. Don't try to name it. Don't try to understand it. Just feel it. Maharaj says that the mind, by habit, will try to decorate this sense with labels. It will say, I am this kind of person. I have this problem. I want this result. But these are distractions. He encourages you to peel it all away. Sit quietly. Observe. Let everything arise and fall away, but you, the observer, remain. Faith, in his view, is not believing something someone told you. It is resting in what you already know to be true. You know you exist. That's the starting point. Everything else is imagination. You don't need beliefs or dogma. You don't even need techniques. All you need is sincerity, the hunger to know what you truly are beneath the noise. He uses a powerful analogy. You are like a mirror, and the body-mind is a reflection. You don't need to fix the reflection. You don't need to make the mirror shinier. Just recognize that you're not the image. You're the silent, still surface that reflects everything without ever being touched. That's the core of Chapter 1. That's the opening to the journey. It's not about becoming something new. It's about remembering what you already are. Not with effort, but with gentle attention. Stay with the sense of I am. Give it your full presence. And soon the fog of illusion begins to lift. Not because you chased it away, but because you stopped clinging to it. The real miracle is this. You are already free. You are already whole. The only thing in the way is the belief that you are not. And that belief, when seen clearly, dissolves like mist in the morning sun. So pause now. Just for a moment. Drop the questions. Drop the searching. And feel what is always here. That silent hum. That undeniable flame. That is the I am. And it is holy. You don't need to move forward. You only need to fall inward. Chapter 2. You wake up in the morning, and before anything else, before thoughts, before plans, before even fully opening your eyes, there it is. The sense of being. That soft, quiet recognition. I am. It's subtle like a hum beneath the noise. And yet, in a split second, it's covered over. Your mind rushes in with stories. I'm tired, I need coffee, I'm late. I have a body, I have responsibilities. Just like that, you go from simple being to an entire character trapped in a story. And in that very shift, Nisargadatta Maharaj says, is the beginning of all suffering. This chapter is about obsession. Not the kind you might think of with passion or infatuation, but something even more deeply ingrained. It's the obsession with the body, this idea that I am this form, that my worth, my experience, and even my very identity are chained to this fragile, ever-changing body. Maharaj doesn't gently guide you here. He cuts straight through. He says the body is not what you are. It's not even yours in the deepest sense. It belongs to nature. It's a structure sustained by food, water, air, and time. It was born through biology, it grows through nourishment, and eventually it will return to dust. And yet, you've staked your entire sense of self on it. He invites you to really question this. When you say, I am this body, what do you mean? Are you the skin, the flesh, the bones? What part of this changing mass can you point to and say, this is me, this will never leave me? The truth is, you've seen your body change every year. The hands you had as a child, the face in old photographs, those forms are gone. And still you say, I. So who is this I that remains? He tells us that the body is in the mind, not the other way around. And this is one of the most striking, subtle insights. We assume that the mind is a function of the brain, housed inside the skull, floating in the body. But what if the body, the brain, and even your entire world are events arising in consciousness? Not outside of it, not separate from it, but within that field of awareness that you are? That's the shift he wants you to taste, not through belief but through observation. He's not interested in theories or philosophies. He's interested in what's real. What can you see for yourself? He encourages you to notice how obsessed you are with the body. Every ache, every glance in the mirror, every craving, every fear. It all revolves around this identity as a body. But when you begin to pay attention to the one who is noticing, when you turn your gaze inward, you'll find something radical. The body is seen. But you? You are the seer. The awareness. The stage, not the actor. The screen, not the movie. And here's the liberation. Once you stop identifying as the body, death loses its grip. Think about that. If you are the body, death is the end. It's terrifying. But if you are the awareness in which the body appears and disappears, then what can death do to you? The body may fall like a leaf from a tree, but you, the witnessing presence, remain untouched. This isn't just a comforting idea. It's a transformation of perception. It's a way of seeing the body not as you, but as a temporary functional garment. A tool you use. A vehicle for experience. You don't need to hate it, reject it, or transcend it. You just need to stop mistaking it for yourself. He reminds us that staying with the I am is the simplest and most powerful practice. Just rest in that sense of being. Don't let it become tangled in thoughts like, I am this, I am that, or I am the body. Stay with the raw, unfiltered sense of presence before thought. And in that presence, everything else becomes a kind of play, happening on the stage of your awareness. You'll still care for the body, of course. You'll eat, breathe, sleep, live. But the obsession, that gripping identification, begins to dissolve. You don't suffer because you have a body. You suffer because you believe you are the body. So what's the takeaway? Step back. Observe. Begin to see the body as a part of the story, not the one telling it. Realize that your true nature is prior to the body, prior even to the mind. You are the light in which the body is seen. You are the stillness in which the body moves. And once you know that, not just as a thought but as an inner seeing, you begin to live differently. Freer. Quieter. Less afraid. Because you know what can never be taken from you. That presence. That I am. That which was before the body and will remain after. And so Maharaj whispers through this chapter not with hope or comfort, but with clarity. Let go of the body as who you are. Watch it. Use it. Respect it. But don't cling. You are not what you appear to be. You are what watches. You are what is. And that is enough. Chapter 3. There's something gentle and powerful about noticing the moment you're in. Not the time of day or the date on a calendar, but the stillness beneath it all. The now that never moves. The beingness that never fades. Nisargadatta Maharaj, in this chapter, doesn't offer you another belief or mental construct to hang on to. He offers you reality. But not reality as your mind knows it. It's not a thing. Not even an experience. It's this living presence you overlook every time you chase after the past or lean anxiously into the future. He asks us to come back to the only thing that's ever real. This moment. Not this second, because even a second is already too late. He's pointing to the eternal now in which all time appears. He calls it the living present. It's not the result of your actions or your thoughts. It's not dependent on what you do. It's what remains when everything else is stripped away. And so he says very simply and clearly, what you are is always present. That means it never began, it never ends, and it never moves. Only the mind moves. Only memory and imagination create the illusion of a past and a future. But you, the one who witnesses all of that, you don't move. You're always here. The mind won't like this at first. The mind feeds on movement, on planning, on rehashing, on what next. But Nisargadatta says, notice the one who watches the mind. The one who is aware that thought is happening. That watcher is not in time. Doesn't think. It sees. It is. And that's the secret. You are not in time. Time is in you. That's what Maharaj is inviting you to understand. Not with words, but with awareness. You are not the character in the story. You are the space in which the story unfolds. And that space is now. Always now. He tells us that the present isn't something we step into. It's something we return to. We've never really left it. It's just that our attention wandered. Like a fish looking for the ocean we've been swimming in now all along. But we were too busy thinking to notice it. And so the path is not about learning something new. It's about remembering something obvious. Something so simple the mind keeps skipping over it. Your own being, your own existence is not in time. It's eternal. It doesn't come and go. And when you rest in that knowing, not as a belief but as a direct experience, everything changes. Even your suffering begins to soften. Because suffering can only exist in time. It's based on what happened or what might happen. But in the immediacy of now, there is no pain. There is only presence. Pure, open, silent presence. The body may ache, the emotions may rise, but something in you doesn't move. That unmoving part, that is what you are. He warns us though, don't make a concept out of this. Don't turn the present moment into another thing to chase or achieve. Just stop. Stop trying. Stop becoming. And simply be. That's all it takes. A pause. A breath. A gentle shift from doing to being. From noise to stillness. From effort to awareness. And as you settle into the now, you'll notice something subtle and astonishing. The world continues, but it no longer binds you. Thoughts still arise, but they don't carry you away. Emotions come and go, but they don't stick. You are rooted in the real. You are resting in yourself. This is not philosophy. This is freedom. Maharaj reminds us, there's no special technique, no ritual, no requirement, only attention, only sincerity, the willingness to stop and look, the courage to let go of time and meet yourself as you are now and only now. Because this living present, it doesn't belong to the mind. It belongs to you. It is you. Not as an idea but as a fact. A presence that cannot be denied. A clarity that has always been quietly waiting beneath the noise. So come back. Not with force. Not with drama. Just with stillness. Let the thoughts fall away. Let the past dissolve. Let the future wait. And be. This is the living present. And this is your true home. Chapter 4. We live inside a world that feels intensely real, vivid, loud, immediate. The people around us, the places we go, the problems we carry. It all seems solid, factual, unquestionable. And yet Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj asks you to stop for a moment and really look. Is what you experience the real world, or just the reflection of your mind interpreting it? In this chapter he makes a startling claim. The real world is beyond the mind. The world you take to be real, the one you see, touch, label, and react to. It's a projection, a mental construct shaped by your conditioning, memories, and language. What you call reality is filtered through the lens of thought. It's not the thing itself. It's your version of it. And that's not a small idea. That changes everything. He points to the fact that the mind, useful as it is, cannot show you truth. It only shows you appearances. The mind can describe, compare, analyze, but it cannot see. Real seeing is beyond thought. Real being is beyond concept. You can't think your way into truth. You have to drop thought and rest in what remains. And what remains? That's the mystery. That's the real world. The world that is not the world you think about. He gives an analogy. The mind is like a mirror reflecting whatever comes in front of it, But even more so, the mind is like a coloring lens. It tints everything you perceive based on your desires, fears, preferences, and habits. Someone offends you and your mind builds a story. A cloud forms in the sky and your mind assigns meaning. A sensation arises in the body and the mind labels it pain, pleasure, danger, comfort. But these are not reality. They are interpretations. So what does Maharaj suggest? Let go of the mind's grip. Not by force, not by fighting thought, but by recognizing its limits. See the mind for what it is. A tool, a translator, not the master. You don't need to destroy the mind. You only need to stop believing it holds the final word. Because the real world, he says, is not made of thoughts. It is made of presence. And presence has no name, no shape, no label. Just is. And here's the subtle but life-changing shift he invites you to make. Stop trying to understand the world, and begin abiding in the awareness that holds the world. That awareness is not mental. It's not emotional. It's not personal. It's the field in which all things arise. He says clearly, to know the real world you must go beyond your own mind. That means dropping your opinions, suspending your beliefs, letting go of everything you think you know and simply being. Not in a void, not in confusion, but in clarity that is wordless, direct, and alive. And when you do, when you even briefly touch that silence beyond thought, something extraordinary happens. The whole world begins to glow. You no longer feel separate. You no longer interpret every event through the lens of self-interest. You no longer suffer because of imagined problems. You simply witness. And in that witnessing, the world reveals itself, not as your mind painted it, but as it actually is. Open, fluid, unknowable, sacred. The mind may panic at this suggestion. How can I function without thought? It asks. But Maharaj says, you function better. Because thought narrows your vision. It boxes you into expectations and reactions. But pure awareness, choiceless, silent awareness, responds with clarity, with peace, with truth. This chapter isn't just philosophical. It's deeply practical. It tells you where suffering comes from, believing the mind's projections. It tells you where freedom lives, in the awareness behind the mind. And it tells you how to shift. Not by trying harder, but by relaxing deeper. By trusting what you are beneath the mind. You are not the body. You are not even the mind. You are that in which the mind appears. You are the seeing, the silence, the light. And when you know that, not intellectually, but from the stillness of your own being, the world returns to its natural beauty. Not because anything changes, but because you no longer distort it with concepts. You simply meet it as it is. So let the mind be quiet. Let reality reveal itself, not as something to grasp, but as something to rest in. The real world is not out there to find. It's right here when you stop thinking about it. Chapter 5. There's something that most of us carry in the shadows of our awareness, a quiet, persistent fear. The fear of an ending. The fear of loss. The fear of death. It may not be loud every day, but it underpins much of how we live. We plan, accumulate, protect, and strive. All in some unconscious dance to delay or deny the final curtain. But what if the one who fears death is not really you? In this chapter, Maharaj doesn't sidestep death. He walks straight into it and invites us to come along. Not to terrify us, but to liberate us. His central truth is simple, direct, and jarring. Whatever is born must die. This includes the body. This includes the mind. This includes your personality, your name, your story, your beliefs, and even your memories. Everything that has a beginning will have an end. That's not a curse, it's a law. The question Maharaj asks us is this: are you what was born? Because if you're not, then death is not your concern. He takes you by the hand and says, look closely. You remember being a child. You recall your youth, your stages of growth. But who is the one that remembers? That one has not changed. The thoughts changed, the body changed, the voice and preferences and style all changed, but the sense of being, the I am, has been quietly present through it all. That which was born, the body, the personality, is like a garment. It has a beginning, it matures, it wears out. But you are not the garment. You are the wearer. And when one set of clothes is finished, you step out. The body ends, but the awareness that witnessed it is untouched. So Maharaj says, stop identifying with what is temporary. Stop saying I will die, when what you truly are was never born in the first place. The body was born. The name was given. But you, the awareness behind all of it, did not begin and therefore cannot end. Let that in for a moment. Not as philosophy, not as comfort, but as clarity. This truth is not something he asks you to believe. It's something he invites you to investigate. He says, sit with the sense of being. Rest in it. Watch everything else come and go. Your thoughts, sensations, emotions, memories. They all rise and fall. But the witnessing itself? It never moves. It doesn't start and it doesn't stop. That is your true self. And if that is true, what is death to you? Death, he explains, is simply the disappearance of a particular form. It is the dissolution of a pattern, not the end of what you are. Just as a wave disappears into the sea but the ocean remains unchanged, your form dissolves but you remain. Not as a person, not as a memory, but as pure formless being. The problem, he says, is not death itself, but our identification with what must die. The ego is terrified because it knows it is not permanent. The body clings to youth and health because it senses its own decay. But the self, the real unchanging self, does not fear death, because it is not in the game of beginnings and endings. Maharaj asks us to contemplate. What was your experience before birth? That blankness you imagine, that absence of story, is closer to your true nature than all your memories combined. The mind cannot grasp it because the mind itself was born. But you can be it by becoming still, by letting go of the need to know, and by resting as the awareness that simply watches. And this has powerful implications. Because when you no longer fear death, you no longer cling to life in desperation. You begin to live more freely. You care but you don't grasp. You engage but you don't depend. You love but you are not lost in the object of your love. You act but you are not obsessed with outcomes. Life becomes lighter, simpler, and more peaceful, because you know none of it can truly define or destroy you. There's a humility in this knowing too, because you stop needing to control everything. You allow the natural rhythm of life and death, gain and loss, success and failure. You begin to trust life, not because it always gives you what you want, but because you've discovered what you are beyond all wanting. This chapter isn't about denial. Maharaj doesn't ask you to ignore the pain of death or the sorrow of endings. He only asks you to see them clearly, to understand their place, to realize that what is born must die, and what is real, what is you, cannot die because it was never born. And from that understanding comes a profound, unshakable peace. So take a moment, breathe, feel the life in your body, feel the breath moving in and out. Notice how it all comes and goes, and yet you remain. Not the idea of you, not the personality, but the quiet witnessing presence, the one that never began. This is your freedom, not in the future, not in the afterlife, but now in the timeless, formless truth of what you already are. What is born must die, but you are not what was born. Chapter 6. When you hear the word meditation, what do you imagine? A quiet room? Closed eyes? A straight back and a long breath? Maybe even a struggle, trying to stop the mind, trying to reach peace, trying to do it right. But Maharaj, in his usual grounded way, says, meditation isn't something you do. It's what happens when you stop doing. It's not an activity. It's your natural state, revealed when effort drops and attention turns inward. In this chapter, Maharaj begins to clarify what meditation truly is. Not as a ritual or technique, but as a doorway to reality. And the key? It's incredibly simple. Just remain with the sense of, I am. Before thought, before identity, before movement, there is that subtle hum of being. Stay there. Don't interfere. Don't chase visions or insights. Don't try to control. Just remain. He isn't trying to romanticize meditation. In fact, he's peeling away the fluff, the effort, the mystical glamour. He says most people meditate to achieve something, to calm down, to transcend, to reach God, to gain powers. But true meditation is not a means to an end. It is the end. It is abiding as your own being, sitting silently in the light of your presence. And you know what's surprising? He says that even spiritual effort, especially when it's fueled by desire or expectation, can become another form of ego, another identity, another mask. So instead of becoming someone who meditates, he invites you to become nobody at all. No name, no history, no future. Just this, the pure witnessing of what is. He doesn't offer mantras or visualizations. No breathing patterns or sacred postures. Instead, he gives the cleanest instruction. Dwell in the sense of being. Rest in I am. It's like standing still in the center of a storm. Thoughts swirl, emotions come and go, the world spins, but you as presence do not move. He compares it to a flame. When left undisturbed, the flame burns steadily. But when you poke it, feed it, or fan it, disturbance arises. Your awareness is like that flame. Meditation in its truest form is simply not touching it. Not manipulating the moment. Not trying to fix yourself. Just observing. Just being. Of course, the mind will resist. It will beg for something to do. It will judge. This is boring. This isn't working. I should be doing something more useful. Maharaj says that's all part of the game. Let the mind chatter. Just don't follow it. Let thoughts rise and fall, like clouds passing through the sky. But you are the sky, not the clouds. He adds something subtle too. In the beginning, yes, it might feel like a practice, like something separate from life. But as you mature in understanding, you realize, real meditation is not separate from living. It's not what you do for 20 minutes in silence. It's what you carry in your breath, your walk, your work, your rest. It's the quiet background awareness that begins to infuse your whole life with clarity. He warns about being trapped in techniques. Even the best technique, he says, is still a structure. And structures belong to the mind. Eventually, even the latter must be discarded. Because truth is not reached through effort. It is recognized in silence. It is known by being, not doing. And this is the heart of what he's offering. You are already what you seek. Meditation isn't a journey to something far away. It's the dissolving of everything that clouds the truth of what you are. Here, now, always. He's honest too. It takes earnestness, sincerity, not force but depth of attention. And he gives one simple piece of encouragement. If you stay with the sense of I am, not with tension, not with strain, but with quiet love, you will go beyond it. The I am itself will eventually dissolve into something deeper. The pure, boundless awareness from which even beingness arises. Imagine that. Even the sense of presence, which feels so vast, is not the final truth. It's the doorway. Beyond that doorway is something unspeakable, infinite, still, real. So how do we walk through that doorway? By staying with the I am until it fades. Like watching a candle burn until it goes out on its own. Not rushing. Not forcing. Just remaining. Alert. Open. Empty. Maharaj says it's like tracing a river back to its source. Eventually, the current slows, the banks narrow, and the river disappears into stillness. That stillness is you. And in that stillness, what happens? Nothing. And everything. The search ends. The seeker disappears. Only being remains. That is meditation. That is freedom. Chapter 7. Have you ever noticed how your mind rarely rests? Even when you're still, even when things are calm, there it is, chasing something, solving something, remembering, planning, comparing, questioning. It's like a child who can't sit still, constantly tugging at your attention, needing stimulation, needing answers. Why is that? Maharaj answers the question before we even ask it. He says, the mind is restless because it is incomplete. It's like a wheel with a missing spoke, forever wobbling, never at ease. And that restlessness, that endless movement is not a flaw. It's a symptom. The mind is searching, not because it's curious, but because it's lost. It doesn't know where it belongs. At first, it seems like he's stating the obvious. Of course, the mind is restless. That's human. But he goes further. He says the very structure of the mind is built on incompletion. It's designed to seek, to reach, to become. That's how it survives, by never being content. The mind cannot rest because it's always in motion towards something it believes it lacks. And this opens up a beautiful, humbling insight. Your mind is not your enemy. It's just confused. It's trying to find the self in thoughts, in relationships, in achievements, in memories. It's looking for wholeness in things that come and go. But you are already whole. That's the paradox. The mind is looking for the self, but the self is the one looking. The answer it longs for is already here, quietly watching the search. And until the mind recognizes that it can never find what it seeks outside itself, it will keep spinning. Maharaj isn't telling us to silence the mind by force. That never works. Instead, he invites us to understand the mind, to observe it with compassion, To see its patterns, not judge them, not run from them, but see them clearly and let them unwind. He tells us that all mental suffering comes from this one misunderstanding, believing that peace lies somewhere else. The mind says, if I just get this or fix that, or heal this wound, then I'll be okay. But Maharaj says, no, you don't need to fix anything. You only need to stop mistaking your thoughts for yourself. He's so direct. You are not the mind. You are the awareness in which the mind arises. You are not the seeker. You are what the seeker seeks. And here's something quietly revolutionary. He says you don't have to destroy or purify the mind to be free. You just have to stop identifying with it. When you recognize that thoughts are movements within you, not you, they lose their grip. It's like watching a movie. When you're lost in the story, you cry, panic, laugh, you're immersed. But when you remember it's just a film, you can enjoy it without being consumed. The same is true for the mind. When you remember you're the screen, not the scenes, you become free. And this freedom doesn't require effort. It requires seeing. Just that, seeing clearly. So what happens to the mind then? When it's no longer running the show, when it's no longer desperately trying to complete itself, it begins to quiet down on its own. Like a child who realizes they're safe. Like a wind that dies down once the storm passes. The mind, once it knows it's not in charge, begins to serve instead of lead. It becomes a helpful tool, not a tyrant. Maharaj is gentle here. He reminds us that the path isn't about suppressing thought. It's about shifting identity. When you stop being the thinker and start being the awareness behind thought, everything softens. The restlessness fades. Not because the mind has been conquered, but because the illusion of separation has been seen through. He offers a powerful takeaway. The mind becomes quiet not by control, but by recognition of the truth. You don't need to silence the mind to reach peace. You need to see that peace is already here, before the mind, beneath the mind, beyond the mind. So let the mind do what it does. Let it move. Let it question. But don't be it. Watch it. Let it pass. No, it's not you. And in that watching, in that quiet seeing, a different kind of silence arises. Not the silence of no noise, but the silence of knowing. The silence of being. The silence of coming home. The mind is restless because it is incomplete. But you are already whole. And when you rest in that knowing, the mind comes to rest as well. Not because it got what it wanted, but because it finally realized it was never missing anything. Chapter 8. Imagine just for a moment, stepping out of everything. Out of your roles, your name, your memories, your thoughts, even your body. What's left? What remains when all the definitions fall away? That's what Maharaj asks you to do in this chapter. Not through imagination or escape, but through deep, fearless inquiry. He says something bold and liberating. The self, the true you, stands beyond the mind. Not beside it. Not tangled up with it. Beyond. Completely untouched. It's a hard pill to swallow, especially when our whole life has been constructed through the lens of the mind. Every memory, every identity, every belief, every plan, it's all mind. But Maharaj keeps pointing. That's not what you are. You are not the contents of consciousness. You are consciousness itself, and that doesn't depend on thoughts to exist. He reminds us again and again. The mind is a tool, not the master. It serves a function. It helps us navigate the world, solve problems, express ideas. But the moment you believe the mind is you, you become trapped in its limitations. You start confusing the map with the territory, the mirror with the person. So he invites you to do something subtle, quiet, and utterly life-changing. Stop trying to fix the mind. Stop trying to understand the self through the mind. Instead, turn attention around. Look not at the thoughts, but at the one who is aware of them. What is that? That which sees the mind is not the mind. That which notices thought is not thought. You can't find it the way you find a thing. You are it. You can't describe it, but you know it more intimately than anything else. It's what gives light to every experience. And here's where Maharaj challenges even your spiritual striving. He says, any attempt to reach the self through mental effort is still movement in the wrong direction. The self isn't an object you can grasp. It's not a state you can attain. It's what you already are before you even try. So the key, he says, is not effort. It's attention. Not as a practice, but as a letting be. Sit still mentally and inwardly and just notice the sense of being. Not the person. Not the roles. Just this unadorned silent fact. I am. Don't follow it. Don't chase meaning. Just abide. And something beautiful begins to happen. The mind, so used to being the center, loses its grip. Thoughts keep arising, but they're lighter, like passing weather. Emotions still come, but they're no longer storms. What you discover is not a new belief, but an ever-present stillness that was always there, waiting beneath the noise. That stillness is the self. It stands beyond the mind, not in opposition but in transcendence. The mind exists within it, like a cloud in the vast sky. But the sky doesn't move with the cloud, simply contains it. And Maharaj doesn't want you to believe this. He wants you to see it directly. You can test it right now. Just close your eyes, turn attention inward, and instead of thinking, just notice. What is aware right now? That awareness doesn't move. It doesn't age. It doesn't change. You can't describe it, but it is the most intimate part of your existence. It's there in joy. It's there in sorrow. It's there when the mind is loud. It's there when the mind is silent. It is the screen on which the movie of life plays. And once you see this, something shifts. You no longer live as the mind trying to control or solve everything. You live from the self, watching, witnessing, allowing. Life still happens, but your relationship to it changes. There's space. There's ease. There's peace. He gives a beautiful pointer in this chapter. The mind is interested in results. The self is not. The self doesn't try to improve, doesn't struggle, doesn't resist. Simply is. Timeless, formless, open. And this is not detachment in the cold sense. It's not about being indifferent or aloof. It's about freedom. The freedom to let life unfold without becoming imprisoned by it. When you know yourself as the self, you're no longer thrown around by every thought or event. You respond from stillness. You act without fear. You love without clinging. So what's the takeaway? Stop measuring spiritual growth by what your mind says. Stop waiting for the mind to approve. Go deeper. Rest in what's beneath it all. Know yourself not as a thinker or a doer, but as the space in which everything happens. And once you begin to live from that space, even in little glimpses, the weight begins to lift. You don't need to become anything. You don't need to improve. You only need to remember what was never missing. The self stands beyond mind, and you already are that. Chapter 9. Have you ever wondered why we react so quickly, so automatically to certain things? A word, a face, a smell, a memory, and suddenly we're sad or angry or hopeful or ashamed. It happens in a flash. But what's really happening beneath the surface of that reaction? Maharaj gives us a piercing insight here. He says responses born of memory are not real. They may feel real. They may stir emotion and color your whole moment. But in truth, they are echoes, not fresh, living responses from presence, but mechanical reactions recycled from the past. This chapter begins like a gentle dismantling. One brick at a time, Maharaj takes apart the wall we've built around ourselves. The wall of habit, memory, conditioning. He says the way most of us live is not truly living. It's just responding to life through memory, through patterns, through ideas we've absorbed from others. But life, he says, only happens now. And memory can never be now. When something arises, whether it's a person's words, a situation, a feeling, the mind reaches back, pulls out a familiar narrative, and uses that to respond. And because we're so entangled with our minds, we mistake that secondhand response for genuine perception. We think we're seeing clearly, but we're actually seeing through a veil woven from the past. Imagine trying to taste a fruit while chewing an old memory of it. No matter how vivid your recollection, it's never the same as the freshness of biting into it. Maharaj is saying most of us never taste life directly. We're chewing on memory, reacting from old conclusions, living through old eyes. And he doesn't say this to criticize but to wake us up. He points out that memory has its place. It's useful for functional tasks. But when it becomes our identity, our worldview, our way of navigating every experience, it becomes a prison. You are not your memories. You are not the one who reacts. You are the space in which all reactions arise and pass. He says, see your memories for what they are, mental shadows. Don't chase them. Don't fight them. Just notice them. And then return to now. And that return, that quiet resting in the immediacy of this moment, is the beginning of real life. Maharaj speaks of a living intelligence that arises not from the past, but from presence. When you stop letting memory lead, something more natural, more spontaneous, more real begins to act through you. It's not bound by habit. It's not tainted by interpretation. It's clean, alive, and appropriate to the moment. He gives an analogy: the mind is like a projector. Memory is the film. And your awareness is the light that shines through the film to create the image on the screen. But if you remove the film, what remains? Just the light. Pure. Uncolored. Infinite. So when you react from memory, you are projecting the past onto the present and calling it reality. But when you rest as awareness itself, without labels, without stories, you meet life as it is. And in that space, you discover something sacred. Clarity. Not clarity of thought, but clarity of being. The kind that doesn't need a reason. The kind that just knows, not because it remembers, but because it sees. He even says, let go of the idea that you must act from what you know. Because knowing in the mind is always rooted in time. True action, he says, flows from the unknown, from the timeless now. And that kind of action is clean, free, effortless. It leaves no residue. So the invitation in this chapter is a gentle, radical one. Stop reacting. Start seeing. Every moment is new. Every person is new. Even your own self is new right now if you stop referring to who you've been. He doesn't ask you to destroy memory, just to see through it, to recognize that it's a reflection, not the real thing. And the moment you do that, even briefly, something incredible happens. You begin to live unburdened. You speak with freshness. You love without conditions. You respond, not react. And you find that reality is far more vivid than your ideas about it. There's a certain peace in that. A weightlessness. Because when you are no longer a slave to memory, you become available to the mystery. To life as it truly is, not what you expect, not what you recall, but what you can never predict. That's the place where true freedom begins. So the next time a thought or emotion arises from some deep, familiar place, pause. Don't rush. Don't follow. Just observe. Ask yourself, is this now or is this memory? And then gently, without force, return to presence. Because you are not the one reacting. You are the awareness that sees the reaction arise. And in that seeing is your freedom. Chapter 10. Let's pause for a moment, not to do anything but to simply observe. Right now, without effort, there is awareness. You're seeing these words, feeling your breath, sensing your body, hearing the sounds around you. But are you doing the seeing? Are you producing the hearing? Or is all of this happening within you, without your involvement? In this chapter, Maharaj introduces the subtle yet profound art of witnessing. He says, don't just live your life, witness it. That witnessing, he explains, is not a technique. It's not a new identity. It's your natural state, the open, silent background in which all experience arises. From the moment we're born, we're trained to focus on what's happening to us. We identify with our bodies, our emotions, our thoughts, our reactions. But Maharaj invites us to make a simple shift. Instead of identifying with the experience, identify with the awareness of it. Just observe. Not passively, not with indifference, but with clarity, stillness, and presence. Watch your thoughts come and go. Notice how sensations rise and fade. See how emotions change like weather. And ask yourself, who is watching all of this? You'll find that the watcher, the witness, never changes. It doesn't have opinions. It doesn't interfere. It doesn't cling or resist. Simply sees. That seeing, Maharaj says, is your true self. And once you know this, even dimly, it changes everything. Because the moment you shift into witnessing, the spell of identification begins to break. You no longer get pulled into the drama of every passing emotion. You stop believing every thought. You don't collapse into the roles you play. Instead, you remain as the space in which all of that unfolds. And it's not cold detachment. It's the deepest intimacy. Witnessing doesn't mean withdrawing from life. It means meeting it without distortion, without being overwhelmed, without needing it to be different. Maharaj points out something simple but radical. What you observe cannot be you. If you can see a thought, it's not you. If you can feel an emotion rise and fall, it's not you. Even the sense of me. The one who owns, remembers, judges, desires, even that can be witnessed. Which means you are beyond even that. You are the witnessing itself. The light in which all forms appear. And here's the beauty of it. This witnessing doesn't need to be achieved. It doesn't have to be practiced. It is always here. The only effort is in noticing what was always quietly waiting beneath the noise. He says it plainly, witnessing is freedom. Why? Because the witness is untouched. Pain may arise, but the witness is not in pain. Joy may arise, but the witness does not cling. Thoughts may race, but the witness remains still. That's the secret. It's not about silencing your thoughts. It's about not being dragged around by them. And this witnessing doesn't mean your personality disappears. You still live, laugh, cry, choose, and relate. But now it's all happening in awareness, not as awareness. You are the sky, not the storm. You are the screen, not the movie. There's a moment in this chapter when Maharaj says something so clear it stops the mind. You need not worry about what the mind does. Just remain as the witness. The rest will take care of itself. And that's so different from what we're usually told, that we must fix, improve, purify. But Maharaj says no. Let the mind be what it is. You simply be what you are, the seeing. And from that place of witnessing, life begins to move differently. Not necessarily more perfectly, but more lightly. You may still feel anger, but it passes through. You may still face challenge, but it doesn't shake you at the core. You may still stumble, but you're no longer lost. Because in the midst of it all, there is a still center. A silent flame. A presence that knows without thought that it cannot be harmed. That presence is witnessing. And witnessing, Maharaj says, is the bridge between identification and realization. It's the pathless path. The simple return to yourself. So how do we begin? You don't need to do anything new. Just pause. Look. Notice. Be aware of what's happening inside and outside. But stay rooted in the awareness of it. When a thought arises, witness it. When a sensation comes, witness it. When the mind reacts, witness the reaction. Not to change it. Not to judge it. Just to see. Because in that seeing, you begin to unlearn the false and remember the real. You are not the mind. You are not the person. You are not the body. You are the witness. Timeless, changeless, free. Chapter 11. What if you discovered that the thing you've been searching for your whole life, peace, clarity, truth, love, was never far away, never hidden, and never dependent on your circumstances? What if it's not something you need to earn but something you already are? That's the essence of this chapter. Maharaj delivers it with stunning simplicity. Awareness is free. Completely. Always. It doesn't ask anything of you. It doesn't need to be achieved. It is already yours, not as a possession, but as your most intimate, unchanging nature. And yet, how often do we feel trapped? Caged in our routines, our thoughts, our roles, our mistakes, our desires. We feel we have to work hard, purify ourselves, climb some invisible mountain to finally arrive at truth. But Maharaj says, that mountain doesn't exist. You are already at the summit. You're just dreaming that you're lost. In this chapter, he doesn't ask you to add anything to yourself. He doesn't prescribe a method or belief. Instead, he asks you to notice what never changes. Your thoughts come and go. Emotions shift. The body ages. Roles evolve. But through it all, something remains. The silent witnessing presence. That presence is awareness. And it is unbound. He says it clearly. Awareness has no shape, no color, no limits. It's not tied to the body or to thought. It doesn't belong to anyone. Simply is. And because it is free, when you recognize yourself as that awareness, are also free. He uses the metaphor of space. Imagine a room. Furniture fills it. People move through it. Sounds echo within it. But the space itself? Unchanging. Untouched. Whether the room is full or empty, noisy or silent, the space doesn't mind. Just is. Awareness is like that. Life's contents move and change, but awareness remains constant, silent, open. So then why do we suffer? Because Maharaj says we confuse what we see with what we are. We identify with passing states, fear, pain, confusion, desire, as if they define us. We mistake the scenery for the seer. But the moment you stop identifying with what changes and remember what witnesses it all, the illusion begins to dissolve. And it doesn't require effort. Just honesty. Just seeing clearly. He gently reminds us that the very attempt to attain awareness can become a trap. You don't need to become aware. You already are. What's needed is not striving but recognition. A simple shift of attention from the contents of consciousness to the context of it. And when that shift happens, when you stop clinging to the river of thoughts and simply stand on the bank, watching, a strange and beautiful freedom arises. It's not the kind of freedom that needs fanfare or validation. It's quiet, peaceful, radiant. You begin to feel it. Nothing that happens can really bind you unless you identify with it. You're not the emotion, the thought, the event. You're the one to whom it all appears. You're the open sky, vast, unbroken, untouched. And with that comes a deep letting go. You don't need to fix everything. You don't need to control. You don't need to become better or more spiritual. You just need to return again and again to what's always been true. I am awareness. And awareness is free. Even when the mind says otherwise. Even when the body hurts. Even when life doesn't go according to plan. That freedom remains like a still lake beneath the ripples. Like silence behind the noise. So what does Maharaj invite you to do with this realization? Nothing. Just abide. Not as a practice, not as a ritual, but as your natural state. Rest in awareness. Let life unfold within it. Let thoughts pass like clouds. Let emotions rise and fade like waves. But stay as the ocean, as the sky, as the space that holds it all. He doesn't promise bliss or eternal sunshine. He promises truth. And with truth comes real peace. Not the peace of avoidance, but the peace of seeing clearly. Because awareness doesn't resist. It doesn't grasp. It doesn't judge. It just shines. And you, he says, are that. Awareness is free. And so are you right now, this very moment, if you stop believing otherwise. Chapter 12. We spend so much of our lives trying to be someone. We strive to be better versions of ourselves, to be accepted, admired, remembered. We define ourselves by what we do, how we look, what we believe, and where we come from. But have you ever stopped and asked, who is this person I'm trying so hard to perfect? In this chapter, Maharaj turns our attention towards something both confronting and liberating. The person is not real. First, it sounds absurd. Of course I'm a person, you might say. I have a body, a name, a history. I have likes and dislikes. I remember my childhood. I make choices. I feel pain and joy. How could I not be a person? But Maharaj invites us to look deeper. To look not just at what we assume, but what we actually see when we become still. He says the person you believe yourself to be, your name, personality, memories, emotions, is not your true self. It's a bundle of impressions and identifications. A kind of mask worn over what's really here. He's not saying that your experiences aren't real. He's saying that what you call me, the person, is a collection of things that come and go. And anything that comes and goes cannot be the real you. Why? Because the real doesn't vanish. He asks a very simple, powerful question. Were you the same person yesterday? Your mood has changed. Your body is slightly older. Your thoughts are different. Even your desires have shifted. So which version of you is the real one? The truth is, none of them are. They're just passing waves. What's real is the ocean. The silent, changeless awareness in which the waves arise. This chapter is like a mirror that doesn't reflect your face. It reflects your essence. Maharaj says, stop looking for yourself in the mirror of the mind. Don't define yourself by what you think, feel, or do. Instead, become quiet. Stay still. Turn inward. And there, beneath the shifting tides, you'll discover what doesn't move. That is your true self. And it's not personal. It's not your awareness versus someone else's. It's impersonal, universal, boundless. The same light shines in every being. The person is like a costume. Useful, sometimes beautiful, sometimes burdensome, but not what you are. So what does it mean to live without being a person? It doesn't mean losing your memory or rejecting your life. It doesn't mean acting like a robot or renouncing the world. It means living from truth, not illusion. It means using the personality as a tool, not as your identity. It means relating, feeling, acting without being lost in the role. When you stop identifying as a person, you don't become less, you become more. You become space, openness, stillness. You can love more freely because you're not loving from ego. You can act more wisely because you're not acting from fear. You can be present more deeply because you're not clinging to stories about who you are. Maharaj offers a beautiful pointer. What you are is prior to the person. The person is built on memory and imagination. The self is here even without thought. It doesn't need to be remembered or believed in. Simply is. And it's not separate from life. In fact, when the illusion of the person dissolves, life flows more naturally. You're no longer resisting what is. You're no longer trying to protect a fragile identity. You're just here, aware, available, and at peace. There's a humility in this realization, because you stop needing to prove yourself. You stop needing to defend or promote or justify. You recognize that the real you doesn't need anything. It's already whole, already free. So how do you let go of the person? Maharaj doesn't ask you to destroy the ego. That's just more ego. He asks you to observe, to see clearly, to watch how thoughts about me rise and fall, and to remain as the witness. That witnessing is not personal. It doesn't have a name. It doesn't age or worry. It's untouched by pleasure or pain. It is pure being. And once you taste that, really taste it, there's no going back. The person may still function. It may still play its part. But you know in your heart of hearts that it's just a mask. A beautiful mask perhaps, but not the face. So when life gets heavy, when the stories of me become overwhelming, pause. Breathe. Come back to what is here before the story. You don't have to fix the person. You only have to stop mistaking it for who you are. Because the person is not reality. But you are that which sees even the idea of a person. Chapter 13. What if the separation you feel, the split between your body, your thoughts, and the divine was never real to begin with? What if the mind and body are not barriers to truth, but simply shadows dancing on the surface of something deeper? In this chapter, Maharaj takes us straight to the heart of spiritual misunderstanding and peels away the illusion of fragmentation. He brings us back to the Supreme, the mind and the body, not as three separate entities, but as expressions unfolding in the vastness of pure being. He begins with a bold and humbling statement. Everything arises in consciousness, and nothing stands apart from it. The body, the mind, the sense of me, the world, all of it is like waves in the ocean. The mistake is not in experiencing them, but in believing they are separate. Believing that I am this body, that I am this thinking mind, that God or the Supreme is something else, somewhere else. But Maharaj says, the Supreme is not somewhere else. It is the very source of all experience. Not a deity out there, not a higher being looking down, but the pure, formless substratum from which everything arises and into which everything dissolves. He's not offering philosophy here. He's guiding you back to the direct experience of your own being. He speaks of the body as an instrument, a vehicle through which consciousness expresses. It's not to be rejected or denied, but it is also not to be worshipped as the self. The body is born, changes, ages, and dies. It is limited by time, by space, by form. But that which knows the body, that presence of awareness, does not come and go. And the mind? Maharaj is precise. He says, the mind is a field of movement, a play of thoughts, ideas, memory, desire, fear. It's useful, but it's not ultimate. The mind tries to understand the Supreme, but it can only grasp reflections. The real cannot be thought. It can only be known through being. So here's the paradox. We try to reach the Supreme through the mind and body, but the very act of trying reinforces the illusion of separation. That's why Maharaj continually points inward, back to the place where no concepts live, back to silence, back to the space where even the sense of, I am a seeker dissolves. He uses a simple analogy. The Supreme is like sunlight, pure, indivisible. The body is like a window pane and the mind is the dust on it. When the glass is clean and clear, sunlight pours in unfiltered. But when it's clouded, we only get distorted light. We think the distortion is real, but the sun never changed. The question is, are you looking through the glass? Or are you turning to the light itself? Maharaj doesn't ask us to destroy the mind or reject the body. He asks us to recognize them as tools, temporary instruments. The body will one day die. The mind will one day cease. But you are not the mind, not the body. You are the light in which both appear. And that light is the Supreme. He goes further, even the I am sense, the subtle feeling of being, is not the Supreme itself. It is the doorway, the fragrance, the first reflection of the Absolute in consciousness. If you abide in the I am without clinging to anything else, even that sense will dissolve, and what remains is pure awareness without form or center. And it is here, he says, where true freedom lives. Not in the purification of the body, not in the mastery of the mind, but in the recognition that you were never those things to begin with. This chapter is like a gentle but firm hand pulling you out of the river of appearances and placing you on the shore of direct seeing. Everything you think you are, your beliefs, your history, your preferences are part of a dream the mind weaves. But the Supreme is not a dream. It is the eternal now, the silent witness, the formless presence that gives rise to form. So Maharaj invites us to stop searching through the mind, to stop identifying with the body, and to rest instead in that still point of pure being where no concepts can reach. There, without effort, without thought, without identity, you will know. Not know in the usual sense, but in the deepest way possible, by being what you are. And what you are is the Supreme. Chapter 14. What would happen if, just for a moment, you stopped referring to yourself as this body? No longer saying, I am tired, or I am hungry, or I am getting old. Just paused and asked, what am I really apart from this body I keep calling me? That's the invitation Maharaj gives us in this chapter. It's not philosophical. It's personal, piercing, and urgent. He says clearly and with force, you are not the body. Sounds simple, even familiar. We've heard it in spiritual teachings, in scriptures, in guided meditations. But here Maharaj isn't just saying it. He's challenging you to see it, not believe it, not repeat it, but experience it directly. He begins by examining the body's nature. Born, growing, changing, weakening, dying. The body is made of food, sustained by air and water, constantly replacing its cells. It has pain, pleasure, heat, cold. It obeys biological laws. It's a mechanism, a wondrous one, but a mechanism nonetheless. And yet we say, this is me. But Maharaj asks, were you always this body? You've seen your body as a baby, a child, a teenager. You've seen it injured, excited, sick, strong. But in all those shifting experiences, one thing was constant, you. The one who saw it all. The silent witness. So if the body has changed completely, down to the very cells and bones, what remained the same? That awareness. That knowingness. That sense of I am. The body appeared in it. The mind fluctuated within it. But the awareness never changed. He goes even deeper, the body is not aware of itself. It doesn't say, I exist. The mind creates the idea of me and attaches it to the body. But the body itself is just flesh, nerves, sensation. Cannot know anything. It is seen, not the seer. And if you're honest, you can begin to feel it. Right now, even as you read this, your body is here. But your knowing, your sense of aliveness is not in the body. The body is in you. You are aware of the body. You are aware of the breath, the heartbeat, the posture, which means you are beyond it. Maharaj says plainly, you are the light in which the body appears and disappears. But here's the thing. He doesn't ask you to reject the body. He's not advocating for denial or repression. The body has its needs. It functions, feels. It's a part of the play of life. But it is not the self. It's not your prison. It's your projection. And when you stop identifying with it, you don't lose something, you gain everything. Because as long as you believe I am the body, fear is inevitable. Why? Because the body is vulnerable. It suffers. It ages. It will die. If you believe you are the body, then death becomes your personal ending. And that belief generates anxiety, craving, defensiveness, comparison, loneliness. But the moment you truly see, I am not this body, a shift happens. The fear begins to dissolve. Because what can death do to the space in which birth and death appear? You are that space. He urges you to find out, what is this I that knows the body? That knows hunger, pain, pleasure, but isn't limited by them? That I is not a thought, not an image, not a memory. It is presence itself, the eternal witness. And in this chapter, Maharaj brings us back to this point again and again. Stop identifying with what comes and goes. That includes not just the body but every idea about it. I am strong. I am weak. I am beautiful. I am sick. These are all mental overlays, not truths. Strip them away and what remains? A stillness, a formless awareness, a silent watching. And he's so clear about what that means practically. You can live in the body without being limited by it. You can use it, honor it, tend to it, but you don't have to shrink yourself to its frame. You are vast. The body arises in you. You are not in the body. That's not just poetry. It's direct experience if you're willing to look. Try it right now. Close your eyes. Feel your hands, your face, your chest. Then drop the labels. Drop the story. Just be. What do you find? You find you're still here. Even without form. Even without thought. You are. That's what Maharaj means when he says you are not the body. He's not asking for faith. He's asking for clarity. Because the moment you see it, your entire perspective changes. Life becomes lighter. Death loses its grip. Relationships deepen because you're no longer protecting an illusion. You stop fighting reality. You flow with it. And most importantly, you stop living in fear. Because the body may fall, but you remain. Chapter 15. Have you ever noticed how exhausting it is to always be reaching for something? Or pushing something away? Always clinging to what pleases. Always resisting what hurts. It's the tug of war at the root of so much of our suffering. We're constantly playing defense or chasing what feels good. Trying to shape life according to our desires. But Maharaj, in this profound chapter, offers a radically different stance, one of total openness, effortless freedom. He speaks of the Nani, the one who truly knows, and says something stunning in its simplicity. The Nani neither grasps nor rejects. Let that sink in. He doesn't chase. He doesn't resist. He simply abides. And in that quiet abiding, there is a peace more profound than all pleasure, and a strength more unshakable than any control. To understand this, Maharaj invites us to take a closer look at the mechanism of desire. He says the ego, the imagined person, is always seeking to add or subtract. It wants more of this, less of that. It's never quite content. Even in its highest pursuits, even in spiritual seeking, it's often just another disguise for wanting. But the Nani is not a person who has perfected desire. He is one who has seen through it. One who knows that the impulse to grasp or reject arises from a false identity, a mistaken belief that I am this body, this mind, this doer. When that illusion is seen through fully, not just intellectually, something falls away. You no longer feel the need to manage every experience. You no longer believe that salvation lies in the next moment, the next thing, the next answer. You rest. And in that rest, life continues. Sensations come and go. Events unfold. Emotions ripple through. But you're no longer fighting the current. You're the riverbed, steady, silent, unshaken. Maharaj says clearly, the Nani lives without identification. Not because he's indifferent or cold. On the contrary, he's more alive, more present, more intimate with life than the one who's constantly meddling. Because he's not caught up in the drama of me and mine. He sees things as they are, unfiltered by desire, untouched by fear. The Nani knows that grasping and rejecting are both movements of the mind. They arise from ignorance, the belief in separation. But once that root illusion dissolves, the mind still functions, the world still moves, but there's no clinging. No pushing away. He gives a beautiful image. The Nani is like the sky. Clouds may pass, storms, sunshine, even lightning, but the sky remains unaffected. It doesn't grasp the sun or reject the storm. It holds all without entanglement. That, he says, is freedom. And it's not something far away. Not reserved for sages or monks. It's here. Now. In you. Right beneath the surface of every thought and reaction. It's that part of you that never changes. The silent, witnessing awareness that watches everything come and go. So how do we begin to live like the Nani? Maharaj doesn't give a step-by-step. He simply says, watch yourself. Observe how the mind grasps. How it judges. How it fears and chases. Don't try to suppress it. Just see it for what it is, a habit of thought, a play of energy. And in that clear seeing, the identification loosens. You begin to taste the stillness underneath. You stop needing to hold on. You stop needing to push away. You discover that everything you were trying to grasp was never yours, and everything you feared losing was never you. This is not detachment as escape. It's detachment as clarity, as love even. Because when you're no longer using others to complete you, you can finally meet them as they are. When you're not caught in the pull of fear and desire, compassion flows naturally. Actions come cleanly. Life becomes simple, fluid, and light. Maharaj doesn't ask you to stop living. He asks you to stop clinging. And when you do, you'll find that life begins to live through you, rather than being lived by you. So the next time a desire pulls at you, or a fear tightens its grip, pause. Feel it fully. Then look deeper. Who is the one grasping? Who is the one rejecting? Look, and look again. You may just find there's no one there. Just the open sky of awareness. And in that sky all things pass. The Nani does not grasp, nor does he reject. And that is his freedom. Chapter 16. Imagine a moment. Just one quiet moment, where you want nothing. You're not reaching, not avoiding, not planning, not regretting. Just being. Aware. Awake. At peace. What if that one moment wasn't empty, but full? Overflowing with stillness, clarity, contentment. What if that state wasn't just a flicker, but your natural condition? In this chapter, Maharaj reveals a truth that stands in quiet opposition to everything society teaches. True bliss is not found in satisfying desire. It's found in being free of it. Let that settle. We're conditioned to believe that happiness lies in getting what we want. Better circumstances, more love, more control, more recognition. But Maharaj, with his laser-like insight, turns that belief on its head. He says, desire is restlessness. Even in its most noble forms, it is agitation. It's a ripple in the lake of consciousness. And every desire, no matter how beautiful or justified, is based on a subtle belief. I am not complete as I am. But what if you are? Maharaj says, to be without desire is not emptiness, it is fullness. A fullness so complete that it needs nothing to sustain it. He calls this state the highest bliss. Not the bliss of stimulation or excitement, but the bliss of being. He's not speaking of suppressing desires or pushing them away. That too is a form of desire, wanting to be free of wanting. No, what he's pointing to is a subtler, more radical letting go. The effortless release that comes when you see clearly that what you're seeking outside is already present within. Desire, he explains, is rooted in misidentification. We believe we are the body or the mind or the ego. We feel a sense of lack, and we chase fulfillment in objects, experiences, relationships. But the chase never ends, because no object can satisfy the formless self. You are not a thing. So how can a thing complete you? That's why desire never truly brings peace. It may give a momentary thrill, a brief sense of victory, but soon another craving arises, another goal, another if only. And so the cycle of restlessness continues. But Maharaj points us to something deeper, the source of all desire. Before any specific want arises, there is a basic feeling, I am, pure presence. It is from that pure being that desire projects outward. And so the solution is not in fulfilling desire, but in returning to the root, to the silent knowing of being itself. And when you return, something extraordinary happens. Desires may still come, but they no longer grip you. You see them like waves on the surface of the ocean. You don't chase them. You don't resist them. You just watch. And in that watching they dissolve. Not because you force them to, but because you no longer identify with the one who needs them. You rest in awareness. And that rest, Maharaj says, is bliss. Not the explosive kind, the gentle kind, the kind that's always humming in the background, like the quiet presence of a friend who loves you without needing anything from you. He even goes so far as to say, the absence of desire is the presence of the divine, because the divine, the supreme, has no need. It lacks nothing, simply is. And when you begin to live from that space, you become like it, unshaken, unburdened, undivided. This state is not apathy. It's not indifference. It's freedom. Because when you're no longer pulled by desires, you can finally see life clearly. You respond rather than react. You give without needing anything in return. You enjoy without clinging. You suffer without despair. You love without fear. You move like the wind, present, light, and free. So how do we approach this state? Maharaj says, don't struggle to become desireless. Just see desire clearly. Watch how it arises. Notice its movement. See how it promises fulfillment but never quite delivers. And gently, naturally let go. The moment you stop believing that the next thing will complete you, you begin to touch the bliss of what already is. And what is, Maharaj reminds us, is simple. You are awareness. You are presence. You are peace. You don't have to become desireless. You only have to stop believing the lie that you are incomplete. And in that seeing, in that return to what you are beneath the mind's hunger, you will know. The highest bliss is not pleasure. It's not success. It's not achievement. It is desirelessness. It is freedom. It is yourself. Chapter 17. Close your eyes for a second. Take a slow breath. Strip away the noise of the day, the endless commentary of the mind. Beneath the movement of thought, the fluctuation of feeling, and the heartbeat of the body, what remains? Stillness. Presence. A sense of being that was never born and will never die. That, Maharaj says, is the ever-present. This chapter is not about finding something new. It's about noticing what has always been here. Right beneath your experiences. Right beneath your personality. That invisible, unchanging, effortless awareness in which all things arise and pass. Maharaj begins by reminding us, what is truly real cannot change. Anything that comes and goes, including the body, thoughts, emotions, beliefs, even the sense of I am this or I am that, cannot be your deepest self. Because what is impermanent is not essential. What is essential never leaves. And this ever-present self? It's not a mystery you must solve. It's not hidden behind some spiritual veil. It is the very light by which you're aware of this moment. He puts it beautifully. The ever-present is always here. It doesn't need your seeking. It needs your noticing. So why don't we notice it? Because the mind is constantly turning outward. It runs on labels and comparisons. It grabs hold of names, forms, ideas. It chases what pleases and resists what doesn't. It keeps you distracted from the simplest truth. What you are is not far away. You've never been without it. Maharaj compares it to a screen behind a movie. The images change, the story unfolds, emotions rise and fall. But the screen remains untouched, unbothered, quietly present throughout. That screen is your true self. It is the ever-present awareness that watches the dance of life without clinging to any of it. And here's the liberating insight. You don't have to do anything to access it. You're not separate from it. You're not on a path toward it. You are it. You've only been momentarily lost in the movie. That's why Maharaj emphasizes over and over. Stop identifying with what changes. Thoughts, feelings, roles, they're like clothes you wear. Useful, perhaps even beautiful, but not you. He says something startling. Even the sense of personal presence, the feeling I am here, I exist, is not the final truth. It too arises in awareness. It's close to the self, but it's still not the self itself. So how do we make contact with the ever-present? By being still. By watching. By letting go of the need to define or understand or control. Maharaj doesn't ask you to believe in the ever-present. He invites you to abide as it. Right now. Not tomorrow, not after enlightenment. Now. Because what is always here needs no future. It shines before thought. Before intention. Before memory. It's the space in which all experience unfolds. And once you recognize this, not just as an idea but as a direct felt reality, everything changes. Not because the world changes, but because you are no longer entangled in it. You become like space. Holding all, resisting nothing. Fully present but untouched. Emotions come but they don't stick. Thoughts pass but they don't define. Life moves but it no longer disturbs your core. That's not disconnection. That's true intimacy. Because only when you are not afraid of loss or change can you really love. Only when you are rooted in the unchanging can you face the changing without fear. Maharaj calls this true existence. Not a temporary state. Not a special experience. But the reality beneath all experiences. And it's always here. So stop looking outside. Stop chasing mind states. Stop believing the lie that you're not there yet. You are the ever-present. Always here. Always now. Silent. Still. Unmoved. That is your home. Chapter 18. Think for a moment how much of what you believe you know is built on assumption. On memory, hearsay, books, experience, even logic. But if you dig deeper, beneath those layers of conditioned understanding, can you say with certainty that you know anything at all? In this chapter, Maharaj shines a searing light on something we rarely dare to face. We don't know what we think we know. And that's not a weakness. That's the beginning of wisdom. To know that you do not know, he says, is true knowledge. First, this feels disorienting. We're so used to clinging to knowledge, to ideas, labels, beliefs, as a kind of armor against life's unpredictability. We seek safety and certainty. We want to understand everything. But Maharaj cuts through all of that. He says, true knowing begins not in answers but in humility. And this humility isn't a posture of defeat. It's a doorway to direct experience. He's not talking about intellectual knowledge here. not data or theory. He's pointing to a deeper knowing, the kind that is so intimate, so real that it precedes thought. Look at it this way: the mind wants to map the world, to categorize, to reduce the mystery into manageable parts. But reality, truth, cannot be grasped by the mind. It is too vast, too fluid, too alive. The moment you try to hold it, it slips through your fingers like water. So Maharaj suggests something radically different. Drop the need to know intellectually. Stop chasing conceptual answers. Instead, become deeply aware of your not knowing. Rest in it. Let it purify you of false certainties. Because in that space of not knowing, something opens. Something fresh, clear, unburdened. That's when real seeing begins. He gives an example that's both sharp and gentle. You may know a person's name, occupation, history. But do you really know them? Or do you know an image, a mental construct? The same goes for the world, for yourself, even for God. What you know is often secondhand, filtered through thought. But the self, your true nature, is not an idea. It cannot be described or understood in the usual sense. Can only be realized. And realization doesn't come through accumulation. Comes through silence. Through letting go. So Maharaj invites you into a deeper kind of inquiry. Not to find answers, but to see clearly what is not true. Who are you before you name yourself? What remains when all your knowledge, roles, and self-images fall away? What if your true self is not something to be known, but something to be recognized as always here, just hidden beneath the noise? He points out that the desire to know, while useful in the material world, can be a trap on the spiritual path, because it keeps the mind spinning, always hungry for more understanding, more control. But what you truly are needs no understanding. Simply is. This is why Maharaj often returns to the silence behind the words, the stillness behind the seeking. He encourages you to stay in that quiet, not passively but with full awareness. To be aware of not knowing is to stand on the edge of truth. In that space, the mind softens, the grasping loosens, and something wordless, luminous begins to shine through. Call it presence. Call it the self. Call it truth. It doesn't matter what you call it, because it existed long before language. It is the background of all experience, the screen upon which all life plays out. And it is not a concept. It is what you are. But to see it, you must become empty. You must become like a clear sky, open, vast, free of clouds. Maharaj's message here is not about anti-intellectualism. It's about precision. He doesn't reject learning. He simply warns that true knowledge begins where conceptual knowledge ends. So sit with this: you don't know who you are. And in that not knowing, there's an invitation. Not to fill the gap with more information, but to fall into the gap. To rest in the mystery. To let it show you what the mind never could. That is true knowledge. And it's not something you gain. It's something that reveals itself when you're quiet enough to see. When you're humble enough to not know. And in that sacred not knowing, you begin to awaken. Chapter 19. What if everything you think you know, everything you've ever learned, read, stored, and proudly carried as understanding, was in the ultimate sense ignorance? Not because it's wrong, but because it's limited, bound, conceptual, a map pretending to be the territory, a shadow mistaken for the sun. That's what Maharaj reveals in this stark, freeing chapter. All knowledge is ignorance. Sounds extreme at first, even unsettling. We prize knowledge. We build our lives on it. Our identities, our belief systems, our sciences and philosophies, they're all rooted in the pursuit of knowledge. But Maharaj asks us to pause, to stop, and to look not at what we know, but who we are in our deepest knowing. He begins by saying this: true knowledge is not information. It is being. And everything that is known, objects, people, ideas, is always other than the knower. It appears as seen, remembered, spoken of. But the knower itself? That which makes knowing possible. It is beyond all concepts. It cannot be known as an object. It cannot be grasped or named. And that is why Maharaj calls all acquired knowledge a form of ignorance, because it veils the knower. It gives the illusion of mastery, while keeping you tethered to the known. Imagine being so fascinated with the waves that you never realize you are the ocean. This chapter invites you to return to what knows, not to what is known. Maharaj is ruthless with the idea of accumulated knowledge. He says, your learning, your memory, your ideas, Even your spiritual experiences are just content. They rise and fall in awareness. They are modifications of mind. They are not you. He uses a powerful image. Knowledge is like a cage. It gives you a sense of security, but it also limits your flight. True freedom, he says, begins when you recognize the limitation of the known. When you see that no concept, no teaching, no belief can fully contain what you are. And the moment you stop trying to define or understand yourself intellectually, something opens. Something vast, quiet, luminous. That is the self. Not a collection of traits or insights, but the silent awareness behind them all. And here's the twist. When you rest in that unknowing, when you stop clinging to knowledge, a different kind of knowing dawns. Not mental, not verbal, but being knowing. A knowledge without knower or known. Just presence. Pure, direct, and alive. He says it clearly. To know that you do not know is the beginning. To know that even your highest knowledge is ignorance is wisdom. So does that mean you throw away books? Reject study? Deny the world? Not at all. Maharaj's point isn't about abandoning knowledge. It's about not identifying with it. Use knowledge as a tool, as a servant. But don't let it define you. Don't mistake the description for the thing. Don't confuse the echo for the voice. He often points back to the I am, that simple, undeniable sense of being. He says, stay with that. Not the thought of it. Not the feeling of it. But the fact of it. That undeniable awareness, I am, is closer than anything you can learn. It is prior to knowledge. And in it, all knowledge appears and disappears. From that place you can see clearly, concepts are just clouds in the sky of your being. Beautiful perhaps, but transient. And when you're no longer caught in the web of ideas, when you stop trying to possess or protect knowledge, something unexpected happens. You become still. You become present. You become wise without knowing, like the sun shining effortlessly, needing no reason to shine. That's the heart of Maharaj's message. Truth is not something you know. Truth is what you are when all knowing ends. And in that silent being, there is a peace no knowledge can give. So stop collecting. Start seeing. Let the mind be quiet. And know by not knowing. Because all knowledge is ignorance when it forgets the knower. Chapter 20. Stop for a moment. Look around. Notice the play of light, the dance of sound, the movement of your breath. Now ask yourself, not intellectually but deeply, what in all this is not immediate? What in this moment is not already here? This chapter opens with a gentle but revolutionary message. Truth is not far away. It is not hidden. It is not in time. Truth is here. Truth is now. That might sound simple, even obvious. But Maharaj is pointing to something far deeper than the surface of those words. He's not just talking about paying attention to the present moment in a casual way. He's talking about something radical. The real, the true, the eternal is only ever found in the now. He says, don't postpone. Don't chase enlightenment as if it's a goal down the road. Don't wait for some ideal state. Because that waiting is the mind's game. And that game is rooted in time. The truth is timeless. And if truth is timeless, then it cannot be something you attain later. It must be here already. It must be present before, during, and after every idea of me, my path, my progress. So what keeps us from it? Maharaj answers clearly, the mind. The mind operates in time. Compares, measures, remembers, anticipates. It lives in the past and projects into the future. Even when it turns spiritual, it says, someday I'll be free. Or, I need more discipline, more understanding, more time. But the self, your true nature, doesn't need time. It doesn't evolve. It doesn't grow. Simply is. Right now. Maharaj urges you to see this. You are already that which you seek. Not as a poetic metaphor. As literal truth. The idea that you are on a journey toward truth is part of the illusion. You are the truth. The seeking obscures it. He gives the image of space. Does space need time to be space? No. It's always here, unchanging, supporting all movement without being moved. Your true self is like that, the vast awareness in which everything appears. That awareness doesn't come and go. Your attention moves, your mind moves, but the awareness remains still. That stillness is truth. And it is now. One of the most disarming things Maharaj says here is this. There is no such thing as a later realization. If you don't realize it now, you won't realize it later. Because realization is not a product of time. It's a recognition beyond time. He's not trying to rush you. He's trying to wake you up. You don't need to clean yourself up spiritually to earn this truth. You only need to be still. To stop believing that something is missing. You only need to be totally, nakedly present. So how do we rest in this now? Not by forcing silence. Not by thinking about the now. Not by trying to stay present. Those are more mind tricks. Maharaj points to a subtler path. Return to the sense I am. Not the story of who you are. Not your name, role, past, or ambitions. Just the simple sense of being. Before the mind adds anything to it. That is the now. And if you stay there, not clinging, not resisting, not labeling, something begins to open. The sense of separation softens. The urgency fades. The pressure to become dissolves into the peace of being. And in that being, the mind falls silent, not by effort, but because there's nothing left to chase. This is not passive. It's the most intimate, alive kind of awareness. You don't become detached from life. You become infused with it. Because now life isn't happening to you. It's unfolding as you. There's no gap. No distance. Just this. Just now. Just truth. And it was always here. Maharaj isn't asking you to believe in anything. He's asking you to look. To drop the idea that truth is far. To drop the idea that you are lacking. And to recognize the fullness of this moment just as it is. So next time the mind says, one day I'll get there. Or I'm not ready yet. Remember what he says in this chapter. There is no other moment but now. And truth is already here.